on the now list. And if you're following the live stream, we want to thank you for following us, and also if you're on Facebook, whichever way. Nice to have you. All right, Mr. Buncamper, good morning to you, sir, and thank you so very much for spending the time with us. Hopefully, our listening audience, they must have heard much from you throughout the campaign, but of course, this is the final stretch. And I
That's right.
believe that the only thing to say, what else is left for the community to hear when it comes to what are the promises? Well, not just promises, but what has to get done.
I think that's exactly the problem, the promises. We are not promising you a rose garden.
I withdrew that statement a moment ago.
I know. But what we are trying, no, but it's not you. It is what's happening on the stage,
Yes.
on the political stage. They are promising people a rose garden that's not there. This country is in a serious state of disrepair presently. Financially, we walk around and say we got money. We don't. We do not have. Oh, we got 60 million to go build 40 roads. That's a joke. Because that 60 million is a loan. Just like the 145 million that we got for payroll support that the minister went and put as income on budget 2021. And now CFT tells him, take it off. You are sending the wrong message. That's not the real picture.
It's the first time I'm hearing this.
Well, it was in the papers. Nobody picked it up. Nobody picked up on these things. The General Audit Chamber and CFT told the Minister of Finance, why did you create a situation that's not true? It's very simple. We had a debt of about 280 plus million. If you could remember, 260, 270, something around there, I think. I might be off on a few tens of millions. But we were way over the 170 something million that the Council of Ministers of the Netherlands said, if you have this deficit, I will allow you to go over to 2022. So when the year accounts were made, they were 200 and something million, they had to go down. So what they did is they took the supplement money they got, the liquidity support they got, and they put it as income in the budget. But it's not an income, it's a loan. You got to pay it back. So your end number could never be 90-something million. It is the 90-something million plus that 145. Things went wrong there. They did this, things went wrong. And this is the picture we got to be careful with, because we are saying things that are not true. This is the problem. People are sometimes afraid to talk about things. Look, I think the Minister of Finance has good intentions, but he's going about it the wrong way. And when you go about something the wrong way, you mostly end up on the wrong side of the track. And this government has done this too consistent. And every time you listen to them, and I think the Prime Minister took the lead when she started off in the debate about everything that was brought up. Oh, it's in the pipeline. Oh, it's in the pipeline. Then the pipeline must be blocked. Then get yourself a gallon of Drano and go and open it. But nothing is coming out. Education is in a state of disrepair. And she was an educator, and she stood by for the past 4 years and allowed the Minister of Education to destroy the education sector. He didn't fix it. He did not fix it. If he did, we wouldn't be talking about it the way we are. It is one of the topics that we touch the most. A lot of parties listen to their rallies, listen to their Facebooks, listen to their interviews. They always come back to education as a starting point. The hospital, the airport, those are institutions. But education, that's a different story. That's a ministry, that's an entity that the government controls. Yes, you don't hear Learning Unlimited, CIA and all them balling, but you hear our local schools balling. It tells you something. The teachers are not happy. This one is not coming across. Schools are not repaired. We are 7 years further. And we now happy that, for example, the departure hall open. Oh, what a big thing. We are 7 years further. We got people standing in the hot sun every day when they land. So we got to be careful with the message we're sending, because those around us are smiling in the state of disrepair we are in, because they are now getting a chance to jump ahead. Anguilla's jumping ahead. St. Kitts is jumping ahead. Antigua's jumping ahead. But we are not. And we can then lose a hub function that we have held for 20, 30 years. That's why when you hear them now talking about pre-clearance, the pre-clearance creates the hub function again. Because you're not going to be stopped in Miami and said, we're going to deport you back home. You might be stopped in St. Martin. because here you're coming to pre-clear to go to America. So you're opening the hub for a lot of Caribbean people and South America people to go through, because pre-clearance doesn't exist all over the world. It's a handful of locations, and St. Martin was offered that option.
But what about the local persons, the ordinary persons? They're not hearing much of these. How do you relate these things happening to our local? How do you spin that off?
Look, you can't spin it off. You got to be direct with it. I think the locals are not seeing their lives improve. You cannot say that we've gone forward financially over the past 4 years when we went through some serious price increases because of fuel, especially the fuel. The war created a problem with fuel. Fuel skyrocketed through the roof, but it doesn't trickle back down fast enough. If the fuel goes up this month and we are buying from a supplier that is a world player, their fuel goes down as it goes up. But by us in St. Martin, it never really goes down. Or it goes down a few cents and then shoots back up to 10 cents or 15 cents. Then it goes down another 5, 7 cents and then it goes back up. I know there was a nice fall in fuel prices, I think a month ago, give and take. But just look at your GB bills. Look at your fuel clause. That will tell you everything about fuel. Because the fuel clause is based on the market. It's what GB is paying. GB is not making money on the backs of people with a fuel clause. The problem I have with the fuel clause is the manner it has been implemented on the residents or on the businesses. Because businesses, for example, pay a lot of money on fuel clause for water. Residents don't. We don't pay no fuel clause on water. Businesses do. They pay, I think, it's 10 or 12 guilders per metric ton of water they use. They pay that on fuel clause. This is something that was arranged so-called to help the small man. It's not helping the small man because the fuel clause is out of whack. But instead of us saying, okay, how can I help the small man? How can I make a difference on that utility bill? I heard the leader of the he came, he said, you know what we're going to do? Whatever money stay over from the concession fee from GB, after government pays back all its electricity, let's give that to GB to offset bills. You hear what he said? Offset bills. Not help, Offset bills. That don't put money in your hand. Now, this is where we differ. I am saying there's a 200 million euro fund that was made available by the Netherlands as a gift, not a loan. If we do economically sustainable projects where energy transition is the key word, which means let's deal with solar panels, let's deal with wind energy, whatever, but let's go to climate change. Let's pick up that farce that I call it a farce. We talk about it, but we don't do nothing about it. Let's deal with it. Let's deal with the emissions. Now, wind energy gives the least of emissions, but it's the more complicated one. But if we take 5,000 roofs in St. Martin and we put solar panels on them, this goes through GB. GB takes the lead in this project. Those 5,000 roofs, let's say each roof gives you back an X amount of kilowatt hours. Let's say in total we get back 15 megawatt on those 5,000 roofs. Translate this in savings now. GB pays for 50 megawatt that they have out there about $7 million on fuel a month. That is $84 million a year that leaves St. Martin to pay for fuel. If I take 15 megawatt, that's 30% of that 84 million. Now, I think that's about $26 million that we are saving per year. A solar panel goes about 5 to 7 years. Do the math. It isn't that complicated.
So
it's about $160 million that we can save. This is how you put money in people's hands, because the bill is going to go down. The fuel clause is going to go down by 30%, because 30% of the production is no longer done with fossil fuel. So you're saving, GB is saving significant money, you are combating climate change, and you're bringing lower bills to the people of St. Martin. That's a solution, not to give a handout and pay a few bills. That's not a solution. This is the problem I have.
Why don't we then make these decisions to find other ways to create?
I think this government is not competent enough to do this. They are not thinking out of the box. They want to stay with the old-time ways. Campaign shows it to you. Let me put up 100 billboards. Must be able to fool the people that I'm great. The question is, where do you get that money? How do you get that money? That's why I told them in the Now Party, ease off on billboards. If we get any donations or if we put our own money there, put it for food. Go and give people food. They're hungry. I don't need to put 100 billboards out there. I have social media. People will know my face. People know me for my track record. I've been in St. Martin since 1990. I have served this population in civic positions where I ask for nothing in return, but I love to see the smile on your face. I have worked through hurricanes in this country where we put in 18, 20 hours a day. We don't get overtime, we get nothing. So I don't need to prove myself. You ask, who's Buncamper? That's one fella. You ask the former leader of the NA. What is the one thing about Buncamper? He says he gets the job done. That's his words. He gets the job done. I don't need to boast about it. I don't need to show a list of accomplishments. My accomplishments have spoken for themselves. You hear ministers come in and say, oh, the bunk syndrome. It's not the bunk syndrome in Vromi. It's the bunk's loyalty in Vromi. Because when you treat people right as an employee and not fearmonger them, what you're going to do them and what you're going to do them, then you don't have that problem. You see, this is the difference, Wendell, with what we want to bring to the table versus what's at the table right now. The solutions are not the right solutions for St. Martin right now. We need to operate this country different. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality.
How willing are your party to work along with other parties to make things happen? Because we are pretty much aware of the habit and the way that we vote here in St. Martin, which guarantee that there is going to be a very splintered approach when it comes to the amount of seats from Parliament. And,
there's going to be a coalition. A coalition either going to be 3 or 4 parties. They're not going to be. There's going to be no 2-party coalition, in my personal opinion. Whoever puts St. Martin first, and I can find myself in their solutions, I will gladly work. I don't listen. Not because I beat up on somebody means I don't like them. There are people say, oh, but you don't like the minister. I have nothing to do. It has nothing to do with liking. If you're incompetent, I'm going to tell you you're incompetent. That's all. And sometimes I say it harshly. And they get offended. I speak loud. That's because I don't hear so good. But again, Wendell, at the end of the day, it's about the country. A lot of them seem to have this self above country instead of country above self. They are mixing it up. And anybody that wants to do good for this country, I am willing to sit and listen with you and see if we can find a workable way. It's nothing personal. You know, campaigns are rough. You call out people, you do things. But it's not personal for me. A few days ago, I saw Minister Otley, and we had a very nice chat because it's not personal. And he said, you know, they don't understand bunks. We were at the debate and we had a conversation. He says, some of them don't understand it, take it personal. It's not personal. You are bringing over your message. And if your message means to show that their message is not correct, then you do that. You do it in a respectful way. I don't get on and start calling names of people or their families unless you provoke me. If you start to lie about me, and that's why I told them, you can say a lot of things I don't mind, but don't lie. Don't be a hypocrite. Because I always say, I think Michael Jackson had one of the best songs, The Man in the Mirror. Because we all pretend to be holier than thou when we can't look in that mirror, because what we are going to see is going to run us. So, you know, people who run commercials and talk all kind of stupidness, they should look in the mirror. They should look in the mirror and think on what they did. And then open your mouth. I always said, don't cast the first stone if you live in a glass house. Don't do that. But that's politics. You have old school politics and you have new school politics. And the new school, I thought, would have been the social media. Bring over your message, talk to the people. House to house is still something that works well with seniors, but the young people ain't into all of that. Give me a little jump up. Give me a manifesto. But explain me what you're writing. Because very often we write from a perspective of that we understand what we are saying, but the people that are writing it don't know the background and very often are lost in translation, Transylvania, because what do you really mean? What do we really mean when we say pre-clearance is the way to go for the future of the tourism industry in St. Martin? Why would we say that? Why not bring 50 more ships? Oh, very clear. Pre-clearance means it's a hub. People are going through it. People come from St. Kitts that want to go to Miami. They'll come clear in St. Martin and go instead of taking a straight flight and maybe get caught in Miami. If they get caught in St. Martin, they might be shocked, man. No problem. A lot of people that are on cruise ships can come off and go straight now and clear. But most importantly, what does pre-clearance really do for this country is it brings home the low-cost carriers. Low-cost carriers like, for example, Southwest or Ryanair. These aircrafts want to turn around very fast. So when they land in America on an international flight, they're subject to about 3 hours at a gate. Why? Because they're going to an international gateway, immigration, customs, everybody going through that plane. If you're pre-cleared, the American customs are here. They're checking that plane too. It's not just St. Martin customs. No, the American customs checking that plane. That plane going to America and it's pre-cleared. So the aircraft is also pre-cleared.
You're talking pre-clearance and our airport is not yet ready. So how long is this going to take before that?
I heard the Prime Minister say, oh, the space is there, but America's not ready. Nonsense. America's always ready. If America can get it, and it's going to mean for them better business, better income, easier swing around, they're going to take it. I always say, no, you have, yes, you can get. It is how skilled you are in selling your country and negotiating the best for your country. And unfortunately, we don't have that skill set right now in government that can handle these type of things. This is where the now believes, with whomever we form government, that we have to refocus. We have to refocus and maybe even press the reset button in St. Martin and say, okay, we got to govern a little different. We got to govern with a different perspective. It's not about an accomplishment. It's about taking a step forward. Because we can accomplish a lot of things. I'll give an accomplishment. We raised minimum wage. Heap, heap, hooray. But did we take a step forward? No, we did not. Why? Because the money, the 3-4% that we raised in minimum wage, or 5%, I think, we're going to even boast about how big it is. In reality, it's 45 cents. They're proposing per hour. That's approximately $2 a day. That is $50 a month. You can't even fill your car with gasoline with $50 right now. Food is up 10%. GB is up 5 to 10%. How are you telling the people are helping you? Yes, we raise it with 45 cents. But are we taking a step forward? No, we are still taking a step backwards because the country is becoming too expensive and we can't handle that. This is what you have to look at. This is the real picture you got to tell the people of St. Martin. Don't pound your chest and say, do this or do that. Because you did not help the country. You helped a handful of people that are on minimum wage. But you didn't help the country because we are becoming too expensive to live. We are already too expensive. Remember, cost of living is calculated using a few critical factors. Food, hunger, housing, utilities, transportation, healthcare. Those 5 things, they look at them and they see how much did it increase. And based on that, you do a cost of living analysis and you say, okay, it's gone up by so much percent. Then you see the union say, okay, we want cost of living adjustment right away, 2%, 3%, whatever. If we look at what's happened in St. Martin just over the past 4 years, they're going to jump and say, oh, the pandemic cost it. No, it's not. Pandemic was worldwide. Everybody went through the pandemic. So why doesn't this affect our neighbors? Why is Aruba, Curacao, all them going through the roof? They're making money. Their countries are making serious money that they can handle their debt relief. Aruba is doing so well that they told the Dutch, you keep your nonsense. We're going to pay you. We're going to pay you the 5 or 6% you want. But we're not going to subject ourselves to you anymore. We subject ourselves every time the Dutch say A, we say B. We go right along. Enya came up, thank God, to Curacao. That Curacao said no. Because if Curacao said yeah, we want to hold for 60 to 90 million again. This is a problem. Now the central bank isn't helping along, not working along the right way. The last time, Curacao took a loan through the central bank to bail out Hero because they made a blunder. I haven't heard our shareholder, the Minister of Finance, talk about the solution. The solution in the central bank. So all these things are happening in the central bank, nobody going home. But let Mikey Hyman open his mouth and say something, you fire him. Look at the airport. They're firing people. Have you seen a local counterpart for the financial controller? The CFO has been a Dutchman for the past 4.5 years. 5 of them have been there, according to me already. Have you ever heard of a counterpart? Never. Nobody talks about it. It is as if we are not allowed to have that function. For God's sakes, it's in the contract. This is my problem. We are not for we. They say you are qualified. I stand with you, all this type of stupid thing. You decide. No. They are not allowing us to decide. So come January 11th, the population will get an opportunity to decide. And we got to be cautious how we vote. Because they're going to offer you a rose garden. They're going to offer you a car. They're going to offer you all kind of things. Just remember this. After election day, they don't owe you nothing anymore. Because you were paid already. Don't come and ask for a doctor card for your mother. Pay for it yourself. These are the type of things you got to be careful with. And this is not fear-mongering. This is having experience and seeing elections time in and time out.
This is one of the things that some people are concerned about. You have been out of Parliament for the longest while, and much of what you're saying, I'm sure, if you were present in Parliament, you can always call meetings to make sure that these things are addressed in the House of the People.
Correct.
How much are you looking forward to being elected and being back in Parliament? Is that a reality?
Wendell, I think the people of Samartan will tell you hands down, the most informative parliamentarian in and out of Parliament has been Claudius Buncamper. I have told this public 10 times, tenfold of what the others in there have said. Everybody only uses what is good for them to discuss. I discuss everything, good, bad, and I needed a new home in Parliament because I was an independent when I was suspended, and I joined the now because I believed. When I looked around, there were offers. Some of them were a little skeptical because of my court case, but others said, no, come, we're going to work with you. And at the end of the day, I chose the Now Party because I liked the approach. I liked that it was, let's deal with the people. Let's see what we can do for the people. Let's see how we can make the people wealthy. Because we stand for nation, opportunity, and wealth. That's the NOW. That's the abbreviation. And we said, how do we make people wealthy? Now, how does that translate to Parliament? Very simple. When you're in Parliament, you said it correctly. You can initiate a law. You can make changes to policies. You can make budget amendments because they come into you to beg you to approve it. And you can say, okay, listen, this is all fine and well, but I want to see some of this money move from point A to point B, and we will substantiate point A differently and point B differently. Now, elections are January 11th. Once I'm elected, I'm going back to Parliament. I will take my seat. And I'm sure some of the fearmongers out there say, oh, it can't happen. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Because, you see, you have to learn to interpret a law. And laws are interpreted differently by everybody. It is which side of the fence you're standing on. So, eventually, a judge will have to decide if it reaches that far. But remember, it isn't the judicial system telling me I can't run, I can't take my seat, It's the Constitution, the flawed Constitution that MP Rolando Bryson himself stated on the floor of Parliament. It is flawed. But you know what? We can't go and fix the ones for the politicians first. We got to fix the others too, you know, with the charter and all those things. So you admit it wrong. Ask yourself a simple question, Wendell. If I cannot take my seat, why would the Electoral Council allow me to run and fool the people that I can take my seat? Does it make any sense? We got to learn to pick sense out of nonsense. Because the nonsense is spewing out there. Oh, he can't take it. He's going to be the same. Who created the 16th seat? Who created it? Not the Dutch. Don't blame them. We, set of fools that went to take something from Curacao and try to implement it here because of Anthony Codet's situation. Nobody gets suspended in Curacao. Nobody gets suspended in Aruba. Nobody gets suspended in Holland. Only we here again, like a set of crazy crabs, put things in a constitution that can't hold water. Now, what happened in the first term was that when I was elected, I was not accused of anything. They accused me 4 months later. And then the case started that they first had to see if they were allowed to prosecute me. That took a year plus. So after that was finished, the case started and I was convicted for allegedly doing certain things. Then I appealed it. So at that moment when I was convicted on the 23rd of December 2021, the rule in the Constitution, Article 50, I think it is, 2 sub A or B, that kicked in. At that point in time, I sent a letter. I appealed the case, but I sent a letter right away to the Parliament through my lawyers. And I said, people, my suspension is illegal. I had a discussion with Russell Martin then. That's a constitutional expert. He says there is no ground to suspend you because the Constitution is flawed. Because the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and I implore the Prime Minister and all those fearmongers to go and read a treaty that we are subject to. And if you don't know, let me give you some constitutional lesson. A treaty trumps the Constitution. But we seem to be dumb enough not to understand that. But every time we have a labor case, you hear the judge says the European human rights and the lamblast is the minister. You see, this is the problem, Wendell. People fear-mongering because they can't stop me. They know they have nothing on me. My record speaks for itself. My accomplishments speak for themselves. So what are we going to fool the people with? He can't take the seat. Really? So why allow me on the ballot?
You were most vocal in Parliament. Maybe they are finding ways to keep you quiet.
Exactly. But you're right. That's exactly it. They are fear-mongering me because I have good knowledge. I understand the government. I know what to do the checks and balances.
Mm-hmm. So as far as the campaign for this election is concerned, what are some of the things that you think people need to be aware of? We've heard so many things that has to happen.
Yeah.
We have not gotten to the point where we have made these decisions just yet. Are we just talking about these things, or we need to get what it takes to make these important decisions if they're in the best interest?
Wendell, the most important thing for country Samaritan is how are we going to raise the monies that we can do what we say we are going to do.
Okay.
Now, the Now Party has done that. We wrote our manifesto with tax reform. We showed where we got to go to ensure that everybody making money in Samaritan paying.
Yeah, we're going to focus a little bit more on your manifesto for the second half. Mm-hmm. But I want to take the break. And after we're done with the break, then we focus on one. I could imagine that much of what you've said represented in your manifesto.
Yes.
We'll give you an opportunity to share what
you know. Our manifesto is online. So I ask people to please read it. Okay. And if you have questions, call us.
All right, we'll take a break right now. Here with Mr. Buncamper, who is the second candidate or number 2 candidate on the Now list. We'll come right back to our conversation, folks, right after we take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, people, we're on a little small break here now with Wendell. So, we have a little discussion on the side here. We'll be back in a few. and then we're going to continue this discussion, and we're going to take all those lies and all kind of stupidity once and for all out of the world. But keep listening, stay tuned, because the Now Party has you at heart. We want to ensure that country St. Martin will do what needs to be done.
But rushes to appeal his case so he can again be a candidate in the hope of being elected, suspended again, and continue to collect $10,000 a month. D, a bunch of sitting politicians who changed the law to allow their ministers' cars to have all-round...
You know what it's like?
Your boss?
No, I can't. I don't know how to do it.
You have microphone. You see microphone there. You could mute the. Let's mute.
So yeah, people, we are back again. So let's get ready to go again.
Okay, welcome back to this Sunday morning here with Donchi. Well, I usually say Donchi, but if you are going to look for him on the ballot, he's going to be Claudius Buncamper. So let me refer to him.
Just go to the left, find the yellow, the first party on your left hand, 1, 2, bam, and we got it.
He's here with me for the full hour on People's Voice, and of course, Mr. Buncamper, you have talked about several things that has to get done, and I don't know if much of that is part of your manifesto, but I think you need to focus there so that the people can have an idea.
Yeah.
They're trying to make up their mind.
Yeah.
So if they can hear from you, what are some of the objectives and plans?
Yeah. Our manifesto
manifesto
covers a lot of things. But I think one of the important things, and I'm so happy that a lot of people jumped onto the bandwagon of the seniors, because everybody was talking about all kind of other things, but not the seniors. And as suddenly Buncamper became the man for the seniors, other politicians started to jump in. But to help the seniors, you got to help them one way, basically, and that's financially. Because the seniors don't need a job no more. They have worked for donkey years already. But what do? We tax their pensions. Now, this is something we have to review, and I said it from day one. Please adjust tax legislation that pensions, first pension, is not taxed, irregardless to how much it is. And the second pension, as long as it's below the livable wage, which is 3,552 guilders, should not be taxed. These are fundamental things for the Now Party. When you talk about will we join with other people, this is something, for example, that is something we got to seriously discuss with you. We're not going to push that out and say, leave tax reform. No. This is one of the things we want to do as we get in. The seniors are seriously hurting. We did a whole census. And what came out of that census? It was presented at the university, and I went. I made sure I wanted to hear it for myself. And when you hear people don't eat one meal a day, be it every day, every week, every month, it tells you something. Most of the time, these are the seniors, are the people that can't make ends meet because they live below 1,600 guilders a month as a household. So not as a person, but as a household. That is scary. That is very, very scary. A lot of people don't know what the word pension really means. They refer to pensions as AOV. AOV is not a pension. AOV is like a certain way, a stipend I give those that can't afford or don't have anything. That's what the AOV really is. We use the word pension, but a pension you pay for, you build it up. AOV doesn't build up. AOV is fixed at 1,324 guilders a month. If you had 50 years in St. Martin, you will get that. But if you didn't, you'll get less. If you pay it into AOV, into the fund, or you didn't pay, you still get it. That's the big difference. Because if you don't pay a pension, you don't get the pension. So I need people to understand that. That money is not taxed because it's below minimum wage. But seniors, especially the retired ones from the government apparatus, police, airport, TLM, GB, all those people, they built a pension for 30, 35 years, and that is now being slammed into. Teachers is being slammed into, and we are saying, no, don't do that. Why do they tax? The basis for them taxing is because when you were paying your pension premium, you were allowed to subtract it from your income tax. So you were getting a break from government those days. And they're saying, well, you got a break then, you got to pay now. And we are saying, we know how much it is, stop it. So stop it now, that nobody can subtract their pension premiums from their salaries, but we can also stop subtracting taxes from the seniors. It can balance off easy because there are more people working with pensions than there are people collecting pensions. So the tax that you're collecting is less than the subtractions on the income tax. So the country is not going to lose income. They're not going to lose income. It is just there is no will power to execute this. And that's my problem. And I think the pensioners need to understand it. When you hear them there, that's why I started using the word split tongue. They speak with a split tongue. Because on this side, they say, oh, we love the senior. Tax them! Tax them! Tax them! Come on! GB is so expensive. Those people need every cent they can hold on to try to pay GB. Grandmothers pay GB, pay internet, have to pay school fees, all kind of thing, have no money. So they will prefer not to eat to ensure that their grandson, that they are taken care of, has a decent living. And this is sad.
That's what was discovered in the
Oh, yes. Oh, the poverty that we talk about is sickening. Because the number one goal, sustainable development goal, is eradicate poverty. The second one, ensure there's proper housing. None of the two. This government, for the past 4 years, has done anything about. And then you hear them talking about vision. They have no vision. Be it housing, be it education, be it anything, they have no vision. And that's my problem. And that's what we have to do. What we did with our manifesto is we looked at where is it wrong? How can we fix that wrong realistically, that at least we stand a chance to take 1 or 2 steps forward. Are we going to be jumping forward leaps and bounds when the now gets in? Absolutely not. I am not here to promise you a rose garden. What I'm here to promise you is an opportunity to get to that rose garden and to get wealthy, that we can become millionaires, that we as government can say, you know what? Wendell wants to start a bakery. I'm going to give Wendell 5 years tax holiday. Not because Wendell Black and from St. Martin, he don't have that right. He got to come here with 100 million. No. I'm going to give you that break. Because tax holiday means profit tax you don't pay. All the other taxes you pay. So when we are giving people a tax holiday, it means that they're making beaucoup l'argent. That's why they want a tax holiday, to recover their money as fast as possible and then change the name of the business. And then they ask for another 10. This is how it used to be. We are saying we want this entrepreneurial program that we are looking at and that we have placed very high up in our manifesto as one of the things that we really want to push through. And it's not in the first 100 days, but most probably in the first 6 months, is where we give them a certain leeway with taxes. It means, though, Wendell, that you have to earn this money elsewhere. And that's why I said our tax reform looks at it from different angles. We want to abolish turnover tax because turnover tax is a very aggressive tax. It is tax upon tax upon tax. Every time you sell that good, you pay 5%. And I'm saying, no, let's go over to an import tax. You hear the Minister of Justice and all them with the Asuda program that they have by customs. So we know what's coming in. We know how much it costs. And we get our money for it. So we can right now, using that program, make projections on how much money we can get. And if that money is not enough, we have to then consider where we're going to find another push in. But maybe we take turnover tax and you bring it down to 2%. Besides the import duties, maybe that way you will make the money you need. But we got to be honest with the people about it.
Now that you're speaking of that, let me find out if, as part of your manifesto, the plans to address the expense, the cost of living, and at the same time, do you agree that the basket of goods, which is being used as one way to address cost of living, is that something that is actually working?
I don't think the basket of goods is working. I think I spoke to some price controllers and they said some of the things in the basket of goods don't even have a price. So I don't think the basket of goods is really reaching. I think the intention is good. Again, intentions are normally genuine. It is how you execute it and what you execute. Because in a basket of goods, the expansion was great because you had like females need sanitary napkins. Those were things that have been added into the basket, which is a great thing. But we maybe should go a step further because those things we might want to ensure that at this point in time, in this country's position, that certain things are made basically like water is a necessity. For a female, that's a necessity. That's not a luxury. We confuse things. I think it was Teen Times that had a big program for young girls, giving them free sanitary napkins at schools and so. Otherwise, it's toilet paper to wrap up in the use. Look, it sounds rough, but it's the reality we are dealing with. If a young mother has to choose between buying formula or sanitary napkins, she's going to buy the formula and stay home. She ain't going to school or she ain't going to work. That's the reality we deal with here. We don't want to accept it, but that's the reality. Our basket of goods doesn't know fresh fruit. We speak about wellness, we speak about healthcare, but we don't have that in the basket. You know why? Because you can't control that price. Because it's coming from abroad. So sustainability does not exist. That's why the Now Party said to intercept those type of things when it comes to healthcare, wellness, we are going to go for a ministry of agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry. And he goes, oh, that can't work. You got to get a whole new organization. Then we get the damn organization. Then we get it. But we got to stop pussyfooting about all these rock walls that are built up in front of you. Then climb over the wall or go around the wall. We got to stop saying no to everything. Agriculture can be done. We mightn't have all the land we would desire, but we can work with the French side on this. We can use containers and temperature regulated locations that are hurricane proof, like they got in St. Lucia and all those places, and in Guadeloupe. We can buy them. Why is it that other countries can do it, but we can't do it? Legalization of marijuana. Oh God, no! All the other countries are involved in the billion-dollar economy. But who is that? St. Martin. Why is that? Because we seem to have other ideas in this government. We prefer to give it to a foreigner and then give him tax holiday. This is how it looks to us. So we are saying, no, let's do this a little different. Let's really do this different. We believe in agriculture. We are going to put a lot of young men to work in a new trade, a trade that can pay. It can pay. It can make you very rich if you do it right. We have the Sabre Bank. We own part of the Sabre Bank. Why don't we have a fishing fleet of 3-4 boats that can go out there fish, and then we don't need to be importing all kind of fish to St. Martin that's frozen? Why can't we do this? What's wrong with us having chicken farms or pig farms? We select an area because we are dealing with stench and all those type of things. We have to select an area where we build and we ensure that we have stench holders, because we used to pump sewage over the hill and we used to have stench holders all over the place, carbon filters. We put them there. So what's the issue? We don't want to think this way because we're not competent enough in this government to think the way I'm talking. That's our problem, Wendell. And I'm not a genius, but I read, and I do my research, and then I try to put two and two together, and then I sell my story. And for my goodness, people believe my story because they realize, oh yeah, that's true. I heard this one too. And they can then slowly but surely bring it together. And that's how you bring home your story. By doing your research, by talking to people, think out of the box and be real. Because at the end of the day, it's not an accomplishment for me to put on a poster. It's food I want to put on somebody's table. That's the big difference between... I am not a career politician. I'm 60 years old. I have grandchildren. I want to enjoy my senior life eventually with my grandchildren, not sitting in office. I don't mind giving time as an advisor, but I don't want to continue hanging around in politics all my life. That's not my style.
So the campaign that the North Party is carrying out, how do you, aside from broadcasts and social media, do you reach out to people?
Yeah. We have done canvassing in the districts. You know, you can never touch everybody, but we are trying as much. When I finish here, I have a meeting with some seniors that I'm going to attend. I have a campaign team. They set up some of the meetings for us. We go, we meet, and we talk. And you know, I listen and I explain sometimes, because sometimes people find themselves in hardships because they didn't know what they were allowed to do or what they couldn't do. And then you explain them that. And there are solutions sometimes in place that people don't know about, and sometimes maybe we explain that and it works well. We have had public meetings. We had 3 already. We were in Sucker Garden first, then we went on the Ring Road. Last night we was in Colby, and you know, we were holding we had in Colby because the audio system wasn't working good. So it is at 10 o'clock that we got on. But Wendell, you would have been amazed how many people were there. People sat and waited for us to start to talk. 2 hours they sat and waited. Not 10 minutes, 2 hours. Tonight, it's going to be a total mashup. We are in Belvedere. Tonight, we're going to be in Belvedere. Come at 7 o'clock because we got a free Zumba class. We got Mr. GQ himself, Larry Hall. He's going to give a free Zumba class from 7 to 8. 8 o'clock, we are on stage and we kicking off. And we going. And tomorrow night, we close it on with the grand finale in St. Peter's at the Scott property. So those are the public meetings for the Now Party. You know, I look at it sometimes very different. Politics is not about big parties. Meet and greets, I understand those. I know them. I've done them 100 times when I used to be with the DP party. We had a lot of meet and greets where you go by somebody's home. And nowadays, everything is at restaurants. Last night, I had some jump up in Dutch Quarter and the police had to get involved because it was totally...
Isn't that a little too much?
Naturally, it's absurd. Look, if this is how you want to govern, because you believe government is a jump up, then I think you're in the wrong business. Then you got to get into the carnival business with shows. This government is not about jump ups and parties. Government is about the people's business. But if you don't understand the people's business, because that doesn't pay you well, then we got a problem. And that's this problem with this government. It just simply ain't real. They're not real. I'm sorry that I put it so blunt, but they are not real. I have never seen a group as fake as this group. And I've seen a lot of them. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of them. But they are not real. This group, this whole campaign has shown me what was hidden. At least, you know, the campaign showed where the money was. And that was very important. Because I think come January 11th, a lot of people going to get a surprise call, a wake-up call. In parties, a lot of people that thought, are you in? Going to be out. So it's going to be very interesting for the people that are announcing the numbers at the end of the night as they're coming and say, oh, I didn't see this one coming. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Remember, the now has no seats. We can only go up. We can't go down. We have 2 MPs on the list. Both will be re-elected. That's crystal clear. But I think the big parties, the government got a big problem. They are not being seen as reliable nor trustworthy. And when you see the debates, you see the fights in the debates. When you listen to talk shows, you hear how the Democratic Party, the USRM, the PFP, the Now, even the UP starting to tell the NA, cool off. If you mention my name once more, you'll see what will happen. It tells you, because remember, Wendell, everybody looking for the same vote, you know. So they're going to do what they got to do. They're going to do what they got to do to get that vote. And that's when the ugliness comes out. That's when the bad of somebody comes out. You know, and it's unfortunate, but it's the reality that we live in. It's the reality we live in.
All right, folks, we've been speaking with MP Claudius Buncamper. Of course, he was allowed to make a case for his election into Parliament, and with focus on their manifesto in terms of what their plans are to be able to, once elected, to make their case and to do what is necessary. MP, we are close to finishing at this moment, but I'm sure you'd like to speak to maybe those who you'd like to support you, or the critics, anyone, because, you know, somehow there are people who are not in favor of even hearing you.
Yeah. You know,
And
it's
and
called...
those
called-
people need to understand something when it
No,
comes to representation.
it's called democracy. Everybody have a right to open their mouth. Everybody have a right to spew their venom. The problem is this. If you don't know what you're talking about, hush your mouth. I know your mommy taught you well when you were younger. If you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing. But the problem is this, and I want to look straight into the camera. I can take my seat. I will take my seat. I will represent the people because I will be elected. Now, because of my knowledge of government, I'm a very serious threat to whomever is in there. And that's what they're fearing. It's not about what I can or what I cannot do. What I can do is well known. For the past 2 years, while being suspended unlawfully, and I say unlawfully boldly, because our constitution is flawed and flawed bad. We all know that. The Dutch know that, because they sanctioned it. But they said if those stupid idiots down there don't know better, let me rub it into them. Because they have always done that. The charter is flawed, they know it. Grisha went out with Rolando, they went United Nations, everybody jumping article this and article that. They knew it. But hey, if they can confuse those stupid ones here, they're going to do that. And we have a group of people, no matter how good you are or how genuine you want to govern, they're always against you. They always, why? Because it ain't them. The biggest danger we have in this country is envy. People envy others. And when they envy others, they try to destroy them. And like I said, for me, I don't dislike nobody. If I believe you're not competent, I'll tell you, make way, move on. Go do something else because this ain't for you. I am honest enough to tell it to you. Others are going to go bad talk, you make all kind of video or commercial. Not me. If you want to send me a message, call my name. Then I'll answer you. Call my name, I'll answer you. But I can guarantee you won't like my answer. Because if you want to go pound for pound, your idea, and I got a lot of pounds. I got a lot of pounds, so you're going to take some serious beatings. I think country smartness needs a serious, serious change. The only way country smartness is going to get that change is by voting this government out and voting the now government in. That opportunity you have January 11th. You go in there from 8 o'clock in the morning up to 8 o'clock at night. Go early because they're going to try to block up the roads with parades and all kind of stupidness to make sure voters can't get. Because they're going to make sure their voters going fast and early. And then they're going to start driving around with parades. That's all strategies. So be aware. Don't get frustrated. Go and vote. Your vote is important, not only to the politicians, but to the country, because it is going to set the direction this country is going to go in for the next 4 years, God's willing. So please, come out and vote. Vote number 2. You go, you open that ballot, go to your left-hand side. You're going to see a yellow list. Go list, a yellow list. You go down 1, 2, you're going to see Buncamper, Claudius A. You put that red dot. Make sure you stay within the circle. Don't kiss on it, say you love me. Don't check mark it. Don't do those crazy things because then the vote ain't valid. Then we just lost a good vote. You do what you got to do and you bring the Now Party into government. Today is my last day with Wendell until I'm elected, because I'm sure I'll be back then to hush some of the critics' mouths that say I can't be elected. I will be elected. I'm going to be elected big, not small. I'm going to be elected big. I have confidence. The people are with me. And I know the pressure. You're going to hear a lot of things about me in the next few days because they can't beat me at the poll. So they're going to try to confuse you going to the poll. Bunks is out today. I had a wonderful time, Wendell. I want to thank you for having me here today. And we are going to celebrate Thursday, January 11th, once those polls are closed.
In closing, let me admit that you seem to be the type of person that is well informed about government and the whole 9 yards. Any quick recommendation for these? We have a lot of newcomers. Read a lot. What?
Yes, I think. Remember, information that's given always has 3 sides: the giver, the taker, and the reality, the truth. You know, sometimes you have to learn to read between the lines. Sometimes you have to ask another person, give me your fair take on this. Give me your fresh eyes on this. Again, every story that is told has a reason to be told. Otherwise, they wouldn't tell it.
Well, I only brought that up because I saw what you were doing when you were in Parliament. You were very vocal and a lot of stuff, which means that you must have read a lot.
I read every day. In Parliament, one of your biggest jobs is to read.
Yeah.
And if you don't read, don't go there.
All right. That's going to be it for today, folks, on People's Voice. I'm happy to have given MP Claudius Buncamper the opportunity, of course, to make a case for his election in the upcoming parliamentary election scheduled for Thursday, the 11th. Starts at 8, I believe.
And ends at 8.
Which it was 7, because we're going to be up until maybe 2 o'clock in the morning to count votes. Anyway, until then, you take care of your Sunday. You enjoy
People
yourself.
take care.
We'll see you next time.
Enjoy your Sunday and join us tonight in Belvedere. We're going to have a party.